everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Start off with some quick sports. Now, the Texans beat the Chargers 32-12. The Ravens beat the Steelers 28-14. The Eagles beat the Packers 22-10. Bills beat the Broncos 31-7. And the Commanders beat the Buccaneers 23-20. Now, tonight, the Rams take on the Vikings at 8 p.m. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, Envy, Charlamagne, and Jess. Y'all had a good weekend.
Sure did.
Girl. How about the Ravens, though, boo? I know you seen that. Look at that shirt.
Walk around and find out. You know what I'm saying? Well, let's get into it, y'all. So in case you missed it, President-elect Trump was sentenced on Friday to an unconditional discharge in his New York hush money case. Judge Juan Merchan announced the sentencing decision. Let's take a listen to that audio.
This court has determined that the only lawful sentence that permits entry of a judgment of conviction without encroaching upon the highest office in the land is an unconditional discharge.
So that means he will go free without punishment, but his conviction still stands. Now, Trump was found guilty of dozens of felony counts of falsifying business records in connection to hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels right before the 2016 election. Now, this comes after multiple attempts to block sentencing were denied, including a decision by the Supreme Court. Now, the sentencing classifies Trump as the first U.S. president to become a felon, but he does plan to appeal. Now, Trump criticized the case brought against him and continued to claim his innocence. Let's hear more comments from President-elect Trump.
This has been a very terrible experience. I think it's been a tremendous setback for New York and the New York court system. This is a case that Alvin Bragg did not want to bring. These people are not exactly friends of mine, to put it mildly, but they all said this is a case that should have never been brought. It's an injustice of justice.
What a waste of time. Mm-hmm. I mean, what a waste of time. Pure political theater. They was never, ever going to convict a former sitting president of nothing. And what was even more ridiculous was watching, liberals celebrate this. Like, this is not a win. Who cares if you can call him a convicted felon when you still got to call him president for the next 4 years? Who cares?
No, it makes sense. And I wonder how much it costs taxpayer dollars to do that case. I'm just curious.
To actually process that whole thing.
Yep.
Well, meanwhile, moving on, Special Counsel Jack Smith, he is officially resigning from the Department of Justice, probably for those reasons, like you mentioned, Charlamagne, like who cares? Who's actually going to do the work? A new court filing submitted over the weekend revealed Smith separated from the department on January 10th. Smith was appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland to take over two investigations into Donald Trump back in 2022. He recently indicated that he would resign from the Justice Department after completing his work. Of course, this comes after the recent case where Trump was found guilty of the 34 felony counts in the New York hush money case and was sentenced on the same day that Smith filed his paperwork to resign. Yep. It's funny because District Attorney in Georgia, Fani Willis, now she has filed an appeal asking the Georgia Supreme Court to overturn a lower court's ruling that removed her from the case. Now, last month, Georgia Court of Appeals disqualified her from prosecuting Trump and his co-defendants because of her romantic relationship with another former prosecutor. Now, Willis argues the appeals court erred when it disqualified her from the case because only based on the appearance of a conflict of interest. Now, Trump and 18 others have pled not guilty to all charges related to alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election in the state of Georgia. Continue seeking that case, yes or no? You're just saying just cut everything off for Trump. What do you think?
No, they shouldn't continue to seek the case. It's a waste of time. They're not going to do anything to him. Nothing is going to happen. Yeah, what is going to happen? There's nothing going to happen. It's all political theater. It's foolishness.
And in the New York case, they said it cost $50,000 a day, and that was with everything from making sure that the blocks were shut down, safety precautions, just having the amount of security and all that, and then just everything they had to do. They said that it probably cost around $2 million.
I would just want to know what's the point. Like, if somebody need to ask them, ask the
can't do nothing anyway.
The Fannie Willises of the world. Like, what's the point? What are you trying to prove right now?
Not sure what he's really trying to prove, but moving on really quickly, Nebraska Republican U.S. Senator Deb Fischer, remember she was the one that had the husband who snubbed VP Harris with the handshake?
Yes.
Well, she's reacting to the criticism that her husband Bruce faced regarding that. Let's hear from Deb Fischer.
I know my husband uses a cane. He is not racist. He is a good guy that Nebraskans know. He held the Bible during my swearing in while he was also leaning on his cane. There's a lot of lies and horrible things that are said about us sometimes, and I expect that to happen, and I've always said it's worse on our families when things like that are said, and now I know what that feels like.
Yeah, well... Any thoughts, you guys? No? Okay. Well,
No.
I mean, she's supposed to say her husband not racist, so I mean, okay.
Right. And I was going to say, you're a senator. She's elected to her third term, so, here we go. I mean, she's a long party now, so things should get a little easier for her, I guess.
What is Senator Deb supposed to say? Yeah, my husband don't F for her. You know what I'm saying? No, she's not going to say that.
Yeah.
Well, she had a response, so I wanted to share. But that's your front page news at 6 a.m. At 7 a.m., we'll check in on what's going on with the fires in California.
All right. Everybody else, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open. Let us know how your weekend was, what you did, and all that good stuff. Again, 800-585-1051. Call us up right now. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. Let's get some front page news. Start off with some quick sports. The Texans beat the Chargers over the weekend. Ravens beat the Steelers. Eagles beat the Packers. The Bills beat the Broncos. And the Commanders beat the Buccaneers. And tonight, the Rams take on the Vikings at 8 p.m. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, Envy, Charlamagne, and Jess. Yes, remember that the Rams game was moved as a result of those California wildfires. It is now in Glendale, Arizona. That game will be played in Arizona as a result of those fires. Now, the number of fatalities being investigated as fire-related from the wildfires in LA has risen to 24. Very devastating. The toll is including 16 from the Eaton fire, 8 connected to the Palisades fire in LA, and the numbers come from the LA Department of Medical Examiner. Crews are starting to make progress in the deadly Southern California fires. President Biden and Vice President Harris held a press conference with California officials in the Oval Office last week, saying the recovery process will be long. Let's hear from Vice President Harris and President Biden.
Truly unprecedented. But day after day, these firefighters have been pulling 24-hour shifts, rushing the flames with hurricane-force winds as well, to rescue people, to evacuate neighborhoods, and put these fires out.
What we have been witnessing is truly mass devastation. And whether we are talking about Sylmar to Palisades to Altadena, it's important to know that we're talking about neighborhoods of people.
Yeah, speaking of her neighborhood, VP Harris's neighborhood, LAPD confirms that 2 people were detained at the Brentwood home of Harris. Officials told KTLA they were detained during curfew hours on Saturday. Police received a report and a potential burglary on the vice president's property, and that's when police arrived. Now, police say the 2 were released after they found no evidence of a crime, but few other details have been released. Now, of course, all of this comes as California Governor Gavin Newsom says he wants to fast-track efforts to rebuild after the fires. He told NBC's Meet the Press he's issuing an executive order that aims to remove some of the obstacles faced by residents hoping to quickly rebuild their homes. Now, this will reportedly involve, suspending some of the laws aimed at protecting the local environment. So I'm not sure that that's necessarily the right direction to go because rapid fire.
I heard that the other day, and I was thinking to myself, they're gonna have to build fast, but if they don't have, the ability to check for permits, how good are those houses gonna be? Are they gonna be able to cut corners? Are they still gonna get the proper structures where people can actually live?
Right.
Or are they gonna be cutting corners to get these houses up fast and to make money? That scares me a little bit.
Why would you even want to rebuild there if insurance companies aren't gonna want to cover you? Like why would you want to rebuild?
All of the questions that do need answers. Now, meanwhile, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, he's pushing back against claims the Trump administration will withhold disaster relief from California following January's deadly wildfires, keeping in mind that, you guys, he's going to be in office in just a matter of days. And so this will be one of the first things that he's probably going to have to handle. Now, appearing on Fox News Sunday, Vance said poor governance is the big reason for the fires and why they were so destructive in L.A. And he promised the upcoming administration will prioritize disaster response. Let's hear more from Vice President-elect J.D. Vance.
I mean, some of these reservoirs have been dry for 15, 20 years. The fire hydrants are being reported as going dry while the firefighters are trying to put out these fires. There is a serious lack of competent governance in California, and I think it's part of the reason why these fires have gotten so bad. We need to do a better job at both the state and federal level. And I do think, frankly, the federal government has to do a better job. President Trump is committed to doing a better job when it comes to disaster relief. That's true for the hurricane victims and flood victims in North Carolina. It's true for the fire victims in California.
Now, he added that Trump would like to visit the area to survey the devastation and in response to California Governor Gavin Newsom's recent invitation. Now, FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, she addressed the issue of the water, fire, the hydrants, and, the pressure and all of the speculation around that. Now, during a White House press briefing, she spoke further about the pressure of the water in the fire hydrants and also about the aftermath of those impacted. Let's hear from FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell.
What I have been briefed is that it was an overload of the system, right? There were so many simultaneous fires that happened at once. There was multiple firefighting resources that were utilizing and using the water system to put out these fires, and it put a strain on the system. We know that everybody is going to have an individual and unique need, and they need to contact their insurance company because their insurance company may also provide alternate living expenses.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I can't see how the insurance company is going to be paying all these claims. And then on top of paying those claims, paying for people to stay, that's going to be a lot of money. And I also see that they're doing a lot of price gauging, whatever you call it, out in LA.
Yes.
Yeah, they're saying that a lot of the people that have Airbnbs or renting out their properties are doubling the prices and tripling the prices. I just don't see how this could happen without a huge government assistance, and not just to clean up, like to help these insurance companies and help these people. If not, it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I was reading this article this weekend in the Wall Street Journal, and the headline was California's wildfire insurance catastrophe. And it talked about how the state has refused to let insurers do proper pricing for risk. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, that's just a mistake that homeowners and taxpayers are going to pay for. Mm-hmm. It's really just that simple.
Yeah, so to your point, Charlamagne and Envy, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, she is urging residents to report illegal price gouging at the wake of the wildfires. Now, California law prohibits excessive and unjustified price increases for essential goods and services during the state of an emergency. So, so we'll continue to pray for those in LA and continue to watch what happens in the aftermath of those wildfires, and hopefully that they can continue to be contained, because there is some minimal containment around some of those fires, but they are expecting some of the weather to impact that in a negative way as the week goes on.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to LA this week, and they're like, nope. This is not the time to go. I was supposed to be doing a show on Friday. They're like, nope.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. All right, well, bringing things home to New York for you guys, a businessman with the links to both New York City Mayor Eric Adams and the nation of Turkey. He is pleading guilty. Erden Arcan, whose Brooklyn-based construction company has ties to Turkey, pleaded guilty on Friday to federal charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. That fraud, prosecutors say, involved Arcan giving $1,250 apiece to 10 of his employees to donate to Adams' campaign. Those amounts are small enough to qualify for public matching funds. Arcan could testify against the mayor, whose federal bribery trial is set to begin in April. So we'll continue to watch what happens with that. But other than that, guys, that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me on social at Morgan Media. And for more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com. Y'all see that?
All right. Thank you, Morgan.
Winners.
Now, when we come back, Nene Leakes and Sierra Gates will be joining us. They are launching a new podcast this week. It's called Me and My Homegirl, and we're going to talk to them next, so don't go anywhere. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.